We are back from break. I'm David Boles, and this is Boles.tv. B-O-L-E-S dot, period, T and a V. Slowing it down for the closed captioning. Interesting show today. And now we're going into a little bit of a strange and difficult topic because it's so disappointing. And it has to do with big game hunting with bow and arrow, as I understand it. And there are some hunters, I guess, of the mind that that's the best and fairest way to hunt game, with a bow and arrow. It's the most equalizing. Now that I don't understand, because the animals have what the animals have, and you have a bow and arrow, or a gun, or whatever, weapon. Animals don't really have weapons. Animals only have what they have. So if you really want to be a tough guy, go face the animal one-on-one, on your terms, and if you win, using your bare hands against their claws or their jaws, then okay. And I understand people that have to hunt in order to feed their families, and nothing goes to waste. Okay. Then there are people who hunt animals for sport, because they want a trophy, or they want to feel better about themselves. And in this story of big game hunting with bows and arrows, I came to understand that two of the people involved in this limited story both happen to be dentists. Now, why that is big game dentist hunters with bows and arrows, I don't understand it. I can't say I get it. Now, there are some people who say that dentists are not doctors. The DDS after their name is not an MD. MDs will tell you. And some dentists, they don't get a lot of respect from the medical community, because the hardcore medical community does not consider a dentist a doctor. That is until they need them to fix their tooth, probably. So there's sort of a weird fringe element to dentistry that I was not really aware of until I started teaching public health at the University of Medicine and Dentistry in New Jersey. And I found out this whole rigmarole about dentists not being doctors and doctors not accepting dentists in the fraternity of community of minds, or the sorority of community of minds. So in a Midwestern newspaper, I bumped across this story, which then triggered another story that I'm going to share with you now. And this is how it all ends for this guy. I guess there's a thing called the Big Game Hunters Super Slam. And you spend a lot of money traveling the world to kill these animals. And I think you have to have people with you to verify that your kill was good. And it's done with a bow and arrow. Archery, as they say. Now, why someone would want to participate in this with the purposeful hunting and killing of animals just so you can win an award? Feed an ego? Is something I don't understand. So some of the things that this guy killed: a white-tailed deer in Iowa, a mule deer in Idaho, a woodland caribou in Newfoundland, a mountain caribou in British Columbia, a Shire's moose in Colorado, central barren ground caribou, Nunavut, Roosevelt elk in Oregon, Columbia black-tailed deer in California. Oh, and don't forget the Sitka black-tailed deer, Prince of Wales Island, Alaska. So there was this big story in the newspaper celebrating this local guy who killed all these wonderful things. I told myself that day I was tired of reading about all those big game species. I wanted to experience the hunt. I wanted to pursue all of those species. I wanted to experience the hunt, to interact with them, to be in their ecosystems. But first, he had to map out his future. He knew the cost of many of those big game hunts were out of his reach. I was aware that it would take money to accomplish my goal, he said. Several of my friends were oral surgeons, orthodontists, dentists, and they all hunted. I associated dentistry with hunting. So I made up my mind that I likely would go into the dental profession. Now, isn't that a weird way to make a career choice? Can you imagine someone working for the government trying to find jobs for people, and the person comes in and says, you know, my job goal is to be a big game hunter, but first, I want to go to dental school. And this guy graduated degrees in biology and environmental studies. This fellow developed a love of birds as a child after his mother, Janet, took him on her many bird-loving forays. Now I say, oh, he loved the birds so much he couldn't wait to kill them. He took note of the birds he encountered while pursuing the goal of shooting the 29 species of big game animals that inhabit North America. The list includes polar bear, mountain lion, grizzly bear, and several species of sheep, elk, caribou, and deer. Even a musk ox. Excuse me. I don't get it either, Dora. And it gets even weirder. The quest, which dictated his life for more than 3 decades. I have been married to my beautiful Jenny Marie for 3 decades. This guy's been out hunting big game with his bow and arrow. It ended in October when he killed a Canada moose, one of the 3 moose species on Archery's Super Slam list. He is the 41st bow hunter to accomplish that feat and the first from Iowa or Nebraska. Dora wonders if it's all about control, do you think? I think I wonder if it's about bragging rights and getting the certificate and the award. I don't know. I lived modestly. I'm a miser. I live in a 1-bedroom house. I've driven used cars. If I go out to eat, it's Taco Bell rather than some big steakhouse. All of that was so I could get myself to the next hunt. It was one hunt at a time. I just whittled away at it. Greer grimaced when asked how much he forked out during his Super Slam quest. I don't really want to know. I'd say preliminary numbers for the hunts themselves are $450,000 to $500,000. When you add travel and taxidermy, I say I'd spend between $750,000 and $1 million. All that money, I'll eat at Taco Bell if I could just shoot a moose with my bow and arrow. And 2 years ago, there was another dentist from Eden Prairie, Minnesota. Made all the news. Bow and arrow made a righteous kill of Cecil, a 13-year-old lion with a distinctive black mane known by everyone who ever toured the game reserve in Zimbabwe. He wasn't relying on common sense or humanity because the facts are plain. The hunters drew the lion out of a protected reserve by tying a dead animal to their truck. Then Palmer shot Cecil with a bow and arrow, archery, and tracked the wounded lion for 40 hours. Shot him dead with a gun, and then made plans to take the head home to show his pals. The price? $55,000. Yes, it's a man's life in the American Dental Association. Dora says my uncle in Italy shot and stuffed birds. It's very interesting. And this guy who shot Cecil the lion, he was listed as a member of the trophy hunting organization Safari Club International. His profile lists 43 kills, including caribou, moose, deer, buffalo, and a polar bear, and a mountain lion. SCI announced on Wednesday it was suspending the membership of Palmer and his Zimbabwe-based guide. So you don't have to be a dentist just to go out for the thrill of the kill, right? You may have seen this image before. Donald Trump Jr. hunting elephants. Here he cut off the tail of an elephant. Big game hunter using a knife. And there's his rifle. Very proud of this picture. He shows this picture everywhere. He's not hiding. And it's not just Junior. Oh no, his brother as well, Eric. Proud. Big game hunt with guns, not archery. 2012. Posing with a dead leopard they killed. So that's how we value some lives in America. Write them down, log them, pay a lot of money for them, because the kill is more important than the life that's being taken. And people can spend their money on whatever they want. They can have whatever game plan they want, whatever job goal they want. It's just curious when you see the paths that people choose to take. I'll live in a one-bedroom house if I can just go and kill a moose. Not with my bare hands, not with a bow and arrow. I want the award. I want the attention. I want to stuff it and put it on my wall. Control, perhaps. Well, it's been a very interesting stream today. I thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate your time and attention in a busy world where we're being surrounded and swirled with things we don't understand or want to accept.